ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः.
Namaste everybody. Kindly note that out of the 700 shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, I intend covering less than 20% of the select shlokas, say about 132 or so. But then the uncovered shlokas, I make it a point to give the gist of the coverage of those shlokas in between at the right places. This is with the idea of providing a continuity for all of us so that we don't miss out any nuances from the treasure of Bhagavad Gita. Let's move forward. We've been transiting through the three chapters 3, 4, and 5 in quick succession. Chapter 3 Karma Yoga, Chapter 4 Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, and Chapter 5 Sannyasa Yoga. இது மூணுத்துக்கு இருக்கிற subtle difference புரிஞ்சிடுதுன்னா understanding will become much easier. அதனால a brief introduction. Chapter 3 Karma Yoga. There is no living being which can be without an action even for a moment. நம்ம கர்மா or தொழில் or action செஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கும்போது if we learn to do that without the gains from that task in mind, கர்ம பலன் எதிர்பார்க்காம நம்ம தொழில் செஞ்சோம்னா then that becomes a karma yoga. அப்போ கர்மாவையே கர்மா யோகா ஆட்டிடியூட் செய்யும் போது that is without the end gains in mind. அதுக்கு அடுத்த step should be developing a detachment from that karma. பட் அதுக்கு கொஞ்சம் ஞானம் வரணும். எந்த ஞானம்? The knowledge, atma jnanam, self knowledge. Therefore the next immediate step should be to gain the knowledge, because knowledge removes ignorance. அப்ப அந்த ஆத்ம ஞானம் வந்துட்டு a person learns the nature of himself and all actions arise because of the three gunas and interaction with the nature. Then he also learns to attribute all his actions as an offering to the Lord, and then whatever comes out of that, take it as a prasad. அந்த ஞானம் வந்துருச்சுன்னா, knowledge வந்துருச்சுன்னா, then it becomes easy to step into the next stage of karma sannyasa yoga. The sannyasam is karma sannyasam. That is to develop a detachment. அந்த சன்னியாசிக்கு கர்ம சன்னியாசிக்கு everything, everybody becomes equal. That is between the birds and the animals and the human beings, and even between the human beings there is no difference. அந்த சமநிலை வந்துடுதுன்னா தொழில் செய்யும் போதும் செய்யறதே தெரியாது. That is even in action he will see inaction. அந்த detached mind வந்துடுதுன்னா, மனச சமநிலை வந்துடுச்சுன்னா, that is the path towards tranquility of mind, happiness. அதுதான் கர்ம யோகா to ஞான யோகா to sannyasa yoga. Let's go further. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்க்க போற ஸ்லோகால மூணு from chapter 4 ஞான கர்ம சந்நியாச யோகா. Let me call it ஞான யோகா, acquisition of knowledge. From karma yogi, acquiring the knowledge about the self so that his ignorance is removed, and then he is ready to transform into karma sannyasa. ஒரு ஸ்லோகா நம்ம chapter 5 karma sannyasa or sannyasa யோகால பார்க்க போறோம். அப்போ first ஸ்லோகால Lord Krishna says, யார் என்ன எப்படியெல்லாம் வணங்குறாங்களோ நான் அவங்கள அதே மாதிரி காக்குறேன். That is, he says there is a total freedom of worship for the people, whichever way they want. And it is a unity in diversity. And வேற்றுமையில் ஒற்றுமை சொல்லுவாங்களே அது எப்படி வேணா செய்யலாம், as long as the faith is there, attitude is there. அடுத்த ஸ்லோகம் நம்ம பார்ப்போம். Lord Krishna talks about the creation of four Varnas, the Varnashram based on division of Gunas and actions. அதாவது குணத்துக்கும் செய்கைக்கும் தகுந்த மாதிரி. And modern days we talk about core competency. Anyone who has a core competency in a particular task, if he does that task, he excels. அதே தான் the whole society-ய 4 வர்ணமா பிரிச்சு அதை பத்தி வருது அதுல. அதுக்கு அடுத்த ஸ்லோகத்துல the importance of gaining this knowledge, one has to seek a guru. அந்த குரு கிட்ட with humility and with servitude கேள்வி கேட்டுட்டு one has to acquire the knowledge so that one is ready to step upwards into karma sannyasa. And the 5.18 karma sannyasa or sannyasala சொல்லும்போது Lord Krishna talks about samanilai, samanokku, that is sameness in looking at everybody. So he says எல்லார் கூடயும் ஒரே மாதிரி, whoever it is. Say for example, they say the sun does not shine for one particular, it shines for everybody alike. அதே மாதிரிதான் மழை வருதும், the rains common for everybody. தமிழ்ல ஒரு பாட்டு கூட உண்டு, மண் குடிசை வாசல் என்றால் தென்றல் வர மறுத்திடுமா, மாலை நிலா ஏழை என்றால் வெளிச்சம் தர மறந்திடுமா. That is the concept that is explained here. Let's go further.
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते
तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम्
तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम्
मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते
मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते
मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः
मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः.
After establishing the fact that he is for the protection of the righteous and destruction of the evil, Lord Krishna mentioned that anyone can reach his abode if they have a purity of mind with knowledge and then are devoid of desire, fear or the anger. And then a doubt may arise. Is it applicable universally to all people on this earth or all living beings on this earth? The answer comes in this shloka 4.11. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tan tatha eva bhajami aham. Mama vartma anuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. Lord Krishna addresses Arjuna as Partha in this. O Partha, A, yar, this is a plural. எந்த மனுஷங்க, எந்த living beings, whichever living beings, whatever be the number, yatha, எந்த வழியில, in whichever way that suits them, mam prapadyante, they pray to me or they worship me, than, plural, for those people, for those living beings, tatha eva, அவங்க விருப்பப்பட்டபடியே, as per their desire, bhajami aham, aham bhajami. So Lord Krishna is telling about himself, I give them whatever they seek. So he says there is no restriction. யாருக்கு எப்படி வேணுமோ என்கிட்ட கேட்குறாங்களோ அது மாதிரி அவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்குறேன். Which means if people seek prosperity, Lord Krishna will bless them with that. And if somebody seeks enjoyment, that will be given to him. And someone seeks the spiritual advancement that will be bestowed upon him. And not only that, இதுல இன்னொரு பாயிண்ட் பார்க்கணும். இந்த உலகத்துல the living beings are so many, and each one has their own style of food and the way of worship, etc. Lord Krishna implies here that anything is acceptable to him. Anything is acceptable to him. For example, the food for somebody may be the poison for someone else. Therefore, to cater for everybody, there is food. What the animals eat, we cannot eat. And what I eat, you may not relish. Therefore, there is a variety. It's available for everybody. And then Lord Krishna says, Manushyaha, all these human beings, Sarvashaha, always, Mama Vartma Anuvartante, they follow my path. The implied meaning is, all the living beings, if they are true to themselves, they are righteous, and they are without desire, fear, or anger, and then they seek sincerely, I give them that, and ultimately, whichever path they follow, they reach me, because all paths lead to the Lord, provided that path is the dharmic path. So Lord Krishna has said categorically that he is universal, he is above everything else, and then there is total neutrality or tolerance. யாருக்கு எப்படி வேணுமோ அந்த மாதிரி கொடுப்போம், provided they are good. So only qualification is one should be good. விளக்கம் பார்க்கலாம். In whatever way men approach me and surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. O Partha, people follow my path from all directions. தமிழ்ல, யாவர் என்னை எங்கனம் வேண்டுகிறார்களோ அவர்களை நான் அங்கனமே சார்கிறேன். I bless them. பார்த்தா, மனிதர் யாங்கனும் என் வழியையே பின்பற்றுகிறார்கள். They always follow my path. So Lord Krishna has established that he is universal and common to all. மேல போகலாம். Shloka 4.13 is a profound shloka, but unfortunately often misunderstood, misrepresented, and misquoted shloka. Therefore, let's try and understand the terms clearly. Varna is the term that's used. Varnashram, the fourfold grouping of the people. We had talked about earlier of the three gunas, the Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and the Tamo Guna. That was the three gunas, and based on the combination of the gunas and the duties or the activities or the karmas, the people can be grouped into four main categories. The first one is Brahmin. It is not based on birth at all, but on the guna and the karma or the duties. A Brahmin is one who is endowed with full of Sattva Guna, and he has got a desire for self-knowledge. So anyone who possesses these qualities qualifies to be a Brahmin. The second one is Kshatriya, a person with a mix of Sattva Guna and Rajo Guna. Sattva and Rajas, a large quantity of Sattva and some quantity of Rajo Guna. So that is the characteristic Kshatriya, second grouping. The third one is Vaishya, majority of Rajoguna and some amount of Sattva Guna and Tamo Guna together. That's what shapes a Vaishya. And the last grouping is Shudra, that is majority Tamo Guna and some amount of Rajoguna. And here the desire for karma phala is higher. So from starting with the highest disposition towards karmapala, as one grows up in the varna, the desire for self-knowledge is the highest, dominant with the Brahmin. So anyone can go from wherever he is, elevate himself up if the guna and the activities are changed, and depending on the personality of the person, the guna and the activity one is endowed with, if he takes up a profession commensurate with that, proportional to that, he can excel in that. This is actually a perfect example for job fit. And another point to note is all human beings, living beings, arise from the three gunas and can be grouped into the four varnas. More of this will come in chapter 18. We will see it at that time. Let's go further.
चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं
चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं
गुणकर्मविभागशः
गुणकर्मविभागशः
तस्य कर्तारमपि मां
तस्य कर्तारमपि मां
विद्यकर्तारमव्ययम्
विद्यकर्तारमव्ययम्.
Who created the grouping of humanity into the varnas, and what was the guiding principle in such a grouping? Lord Krishna answers that in shloka 4.13. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram api mam viddi akartaram avyayam. So Lord Krishna says maya srishtam. He is saying straight away that he created it, that this was his creation. What was created? Chaturvarnyam, the four varnas. What was the basis on which it was created? Guna karma vibhagashaha. Guna the trait, personality trait, and karma, the activity that one does. Vibhagashaha, and the combination of that. So based on the variations between the guna karma combinations between the people, Lord Krishna says they can be broadly put into four groups, the four varnas which we saw just now. But Lord Krishna hastens to add tasya kartaram api. He says, though I had done the creation, Mam, Ni, Lord Krishna tells about himself. He says, Mam viddi akartaram avyayam. He is telling Arjuna, though Lord Krishna had created these four varnas, he wants Arjuna to realize that Lord Krishna by himself is akartaram, non-doer, and avyayam, changeless. So Lord Krishna says, based on the combination of guna and karma, variations between the people, he created the groupings, four groupings, and he says, though he had created, he himself is a non-doer and he is changeless. So the reason for this guna karma vibhagashaha chaturvarnyam, the four varnas based on this is a beautiful style of fitting a personality of a person to the job. If a person does what comes naturally to him, suiting his guna and suiting his talent, he will excel in that job. The misfit happens, then there is a problem of dissatisfaction and unhappiness, etc. So it's a profound shloka. Velakam paakalam. According to the division of gunas and actions, the fourfold divisions were created by me. Lord Krishna is saying this. Although I am the creator of this fourfold division, do know that I am the inexhaustible non-doer. So Lord Krishna says, though he created, he has nothing to do with this because he is not attached, he doesn't do any action. It was for the good of the society that he had created the four varnas. தமிழ்ல குணத்துக்கும் செய்கைக்கும் தக்கபடி நான் நான்கு வர்ணங்களை சமைத்தேன். சமைத்தன கிரியேட்டட். செய்கையற்றவனும் அழிவற்றவனுமாகிய யானே அவற்றை செய்தேன் என்று உணர். So the true meaning and the true reason for this varnashram is this, though it has been unfortunately misunderstood and misrepresented. Let's go further. While talking about action, Lord Krishna says even the jnanis are sometimes confused between the action and inaction. So he says no human being can be even for a moment without doing an action. There are various types of actions, and there are voluntary actions, involuntary actions, certain things which are necessary, mandatory, one cannot avoid that. And Lord Krishna advocates everyone should do yajna or the velvi or the sacrifice. And he says there are many ways of doing the yajna. Some do it by way of controlling of the senses. That is also an action. It is arising out of the action. So control of the senses, or some do with the material oblation in the fire, like with oil or ghee. And then some do it by gaining knowledge, or through pranayama, or through tapas, or the meditation. Even the regulating the food they eat, all these fall into the categories of yajnas. So one should keep doing the yajna, one should keep doing the actions mandated for them. And then Lord Krishna says finally, out of the yajnas, the yajna done with gaining of the jnanam, atma jnanam, which dissolves the all actions, that is far superior to any yajna done with the oblation with oil or fire. So then Lord Krishna takes on the next shloka, telling Arjuna how should one approach a guru for the seeking knowledge. Let's go further.
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन
परिप्रश्नेन सेवया
परिप्रश्नेन सेवया
उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम्
उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम्
ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः
ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
So far, Lord Krishna has listed out quite a few things as prerequisites for travel towards that jnana, self-knowledge. That is through the path of sacrifice of karma, the karma phala, the result of the actions. And Lord Krishna has listed out few things like dropping of the desire, dropping of the jealousy, dropping of fear, anger, and then development of equanimity of mind, and then doing the work just for the sake of work, etc. And is there a particular level of attitude that is required for obtaining that jnana? The answer to that comes in the next shloka. Let's have a look at the next shloka. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upekshyanti te jnanam jnaninaha tatvadarshinaha. So Lord Krishna says there is some attitude that is necessary to gain knowledge. Like we saw in the beginning, Lord Krishna had not started the Gita Upadesh till Arjuna reached a level of mental attitude. Till Arjuna told him, I am your Sishya, you are my Guru. A similar thought, it's coming here, amplification. So Lord Krishna says, for getting the jnanam, one has to pranipatena, by paying obeisance, namaskaram பண்ணிட்டு குருவுக்கு, the prospective குருவுக்கு, and pariprashnena, கேள்வி கேட்டுட்டு, by questioning the guru, asking doubts, clarifying the doubts, and sevaya, through service. So he says any person who is keen in gaining knowledge should do these three things. ஒன்னு வந்து namaskaram, that is having the respect in the mind for that guru, and he should ask the guru doubts, clarifications, and the third one through the service to the guru. By doing the service to the guru, a person sacrifices his bodily efforts, and by being respectful, he drops his ego, and by asking questions, he burns out his doubts. So அது மூணு செஞ்சுட்டு he says tat vidhi, அந்த ஞானம், you will learn that jnanam by following these three, adopting this attitude and approach a guru. Then tattvadarshinaha, those people who are already learned, those people, the prospective guru, those jnaninaha, jnanis who are already with the jnanam, what will they do? Te, unaku, for you, for any human being, jnanam, that knowledge, upadeshyanti, so they will preach. So Lord Krishna says the three attributes that are required from a student wanting to gain knowledge: he should be respectful, he should be willing to ask questions to clarify the doubts, and he should have a service attitude. அப்போ ஈகோ ட்ராப் ஆயிடுச்சுனாலே many of the things naturally will come. நமக்கு வாழ்க்கையில நிறைய ப்ராப்ளம் வந்து அந்த ஈகோ இருக்கிறதுனால, நான் என்ன அவனுக்கு பண்ணிச்சுட்டு போறது சொல்லி தெரியும், நான் என்ன அவங்கிட்ட போய் கேள்வி கேட்கறது, why should I go and show respect to that person, which way am I less, why should I ask doubts from him, how is he better, more knowledgeable than I am, and why should I be subservient to him, அந்த மாதிரி attitude அந்த ego இருக்கிறதுக்கு. So drop the ego, develop that attitude, and go and ask those jnanis who already have gained the knowledge. They will be more than happy to impart that knowledge to you. This is a lesson for all of us. If we have to do a learning, we should adapt these three attitudes in addition to that karma yoga prerequisites. This is a profound wisdom for our benefit in our lives. விளக்கம் பார்க்கலாம். Acquire that knowledge of sacrifices by approaching a learned person, by making humble inquiries, and by serving him. These self-realized souls can initiate you into this knowledge because they have seen the truth. தமிழ்ல அதனை, அந்த மாதிரி ஞானத்தை, the knowledge, வணக்கத்தாலும் சூழ்ந்த கேள்வியாலும் தொண்டு புரிவதாலும் அறிந்து கொள். உண்மை காணும் ஞானிகள் உனக்கு ஞானத்தை உபதேசிப்பார்கள். So Lord Krishna gives the secret path, secret of the path to gain knowledge. how to approach a guru, the attitude that is required for gaining knowledge. So karma, karma yoga, karma sannyasa, that is sacrifice of the karma, and doing karma for the sake of karma solite, Lord Krishna also has talked about the attitude that is required. Attitude decides the altitude சொல்லுவாங்க. இதெல்லாம் இதுல இருந்து வருதுதான். மேல போகலாம். லார்ட் கிருஷ்ணா அதுக்கப்புறம் அர்ஜுனா கிட்ட சொல்றாரு, acquiring that knowledge, Arjuna will never be deluded again. He will start seeing everything in him, everything as God. And Lord Krishna says, knowledge will reduce to ashes all karmas and actions and the results of actions. அதனால தொழில் செஞ்சாலும் பாவம் புண்ணியம் வராது. There will be no papa or punya, sin or punya accruing because of that. And he also says, with knowledge comes absolute peace. And Lord Krishna then says, renouncing actions through karma yoga, he tells Arjuna should destroy the doubts with knowledge, because knowledge removes ignorance. And for such a person, he says, the actions do not bind such people. Binding ஆகாது, freedom detachment வந்துரும். மேல போகலாம். Well, Lord Krishna preached karma sannyasa, and immediately thereafter he glorified karma yoga again, that is doing karma with the attitude of karma yoga. Arjuna gets confused. So he tells Lord Krishna to specifically say which is better, karma yoga or karma sannyasa. So Lord Krishna says, karma yoga, karma sannyasa ரெண்டுமே ஒரே ரிசல்ட் தான் கொடுக்கும். Both lead to liberation. But he says action is better than inaction. மனசுல desire இல்லாம, hatred இல்லாம, detached attitude ஓட, one who knows he is not the doer, whatever the actions, eating, sleeping, waking, listening, speaking, எல்லாத்துலயுமே he realizes that he is not the doer. எல்லா actionsum because of the guna and the nature it's happening. And dedicating all actions to God, he remains like a தாமரை இலையில தண்ணீர் சொல்லுவாங்க. The lotus leaf, water, it doesn't stick to it. So even if he does, if that yogi does the job, he doesn't get attached. That is, he naturally gets a detachment. And he realizes that Atma does not create doership, or he doesn't do any action. Therefore, he realizes that it is his own nature which is compelling him into doing work. மேல போலாம்.
विद्या विनय संपन्ने
विद्या विनय संपन्ने
ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि
ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि
शुनि चैव श्वपाके च
शुनि चैव श्वपाके च
पंडिता समदर्शिनः
पंडिता समदर्शिनः.
When Lord Krishna emphatically said that the Atman dwelling in all the human beings is identical, the same, and the difference வரதெல்லாம் only because of the physical forms of the bodies. அப்போ ஒரு natural question arises, does it mean that all the living beings are alike? Should we look at them all as same, since you say the same Atman lives in all? A clear answer comes from the shloka 5.18. Let's look at it. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaya Eva Shvapake cha panditaha samadarshinaha. It's a very interesting piece of information contained in this. Panditaha na and the padichavanga, the one with that true knowledge, who has got the knowledge, அவங்களுக்கு என்ன விசேஷம், they know the truth. அதனால என்ன செய்வாங்க, வித்யா வினய சம்பன்னே பிராமணே, படிப்பு பணிவு, that is the knowledge and the humility ரெண்டும் சேர்ந்து இருக்கிற பிராமணே. பிராமணேங்கிறது அந்த வர்ணா சொன்னமே, அதுல the one endowed with high guna and noble actions. It's not by birth, it is due to the nature and the action. We had talked about it earlier. So அந்த மாதிரி படிப்பு பணிவு, the knowledge and humility. It's a very interesting thing. நார்மலா knowledge வரும்போது கர்வம் வந்துரும். That is, one becomes proud if one has got the qualifications of the knowledge. The person who is a true person of the highest order in the Varna is a person who possesses knowledge as well as humility. So between those people, and the next comparison is Gavi, the cows. So Lord Krishna says there is no difference between the higher order Varna who is possessed of knowledge and the humility, or the cow. And the next one is even more strange. Hastini, the elephant, the majestic elephant, or Shuni, the dog. And even more strange, Shwapake, the dog eater. That's considered to be the lowliest of the Varna. That is, the person in his guna and his actions, that in his behavioral trait and the action, the dog eater ranks lower, while the person with knowledge and the humility ranks very high. But he says those panditaha, the people who have realized the truth, they are samadarshinaha. For them all these are alike. They see no difference. For them all these are alike, same Atman. Isn't that wonderful? For the person who has realized the truth, for him there is no difference between the educated and the humble learned person, or the cow, or the elephant, or the dog, or even the dog eater. That means Lord Krishna establishes the point again that Atman, indwelling Atman, universally constant, same, identical. It's only the physical form that is varying. It's a very interesting shloka to note. Let's see the Vilakam. The wise look upon equally between a Brahman who is endowed with the wealth of knowledge and humility, a cow, an elephant, a dog, or even a dog eater. தமிழ்ல கல்வியும் வினயமும், வினயம்னா humility, நன்கு கற்ற பிராமணனிடத்திலும், this is just the indication of the higher order of the Varna based on the personality trait, the guna, and the action. It's not by birth. So அத்தகைய பிராமணனிடத்திலும் பசுவினிடத்திலும் யானையினிடத்தும் நாயினிடத்தும் நாயை தின்னும் புலையனிடத்தும் பண்டிதர் சமப்பார்வையுடையோர். Panditarna, the people who have realized the truth, who have self knowledge. So we have seen Lord Krishna establishing his point with example and emphatically. மேல போலாம். இன்னைக்கு நம்ம ஞான யோகத்திலிருந்து பார்த்தோம், கர்ம சந்நியாசத்திலையும் பார்த்தோம். Lord Krishna first said about the freedom of worship. யார் வேணா எப்படி வேணா worship பண்ணிக்கலாம். End result is the same. They reach the Lord. And then he elaborated on the creation of the four Varnas based on the Guna and the Karma. It's like the core competency, so that a person does what is right for his attitude and personality, he excels in that. அது ஞானம். அதுக்கப்புறம் to acquire that full ஞானம், Atma Jnanam, Lord Krishna said a person should seek a guru with humility, servitude, and ask questions to acquire the knowledge. And finally, while talking about the karma sannyasa, he says a sannyasi is a wise person. For him, all are equal, irrespective of what category, all are equal. Birds, animals, human beings, between the beings, everybody is equal. So he develops that attitude of sameness. That's what marks the sannyasi. So more interesting things are to come. We will take on further next week. So we've moved into chapter 5, Sannyasa Yoga. More profound thoughts are in store. அடுத்த வாரம் பார்க்கலாம். Take care. Namaste everybody.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.